Story 1. People who litter puzzle me. I really don't understand why it's so difficult to take your trash home. As for those who go through the effort of bagging their dog's waste and then discarding it, I don't get it. You've already dealt with the unpleasant part, so carrying a bag of dog waste is the least bothersome aspect. Story 2. Those who falsely claim to have cancer, or to be survivors of September 11th or the Holocaust, or to have experienced various other events they were not actually involved in. Story 3. People who can simply lie down and go to sleep. I live a fairly stress-free life, but my body just doesn't do that. Story 4. People who don't understand that individuals value things differently often compete with those who are not even in the same field. Many individuals with low incomes drive expensive cars and believe they are more valuable or successful, while the chief executive officer drives a modest vehicle. Story 5. Casually rude behavior includes leaving a shopping cart roaming in the parking lot, parking the cart at an angle in the aisle and blocking passage for others, and walking unhurriedly across crosswalks while people are waiting. Playing loud music in public spaces and on public transportation is also inconsiderate, as is using a speakerphone at maximum volume in stores and having loud conversations. Story 6. People who want to hurt or, worse, kill others. It is literally incomprehensible to me to think that way. Story 7. People who are inherently uninterested in everything have no desire to understand anything. They never question how things work. As long as something functions, that is good enough for them. Story 8. Racists. Do you truly believe that the amount of melanin someone has changes who they are? Grow up. Story 9. People who have no self-awareness often lack the ability to understand others' perspectives. In every encounter, I try to imagine what they are thinking and why they are making their point. It is rare to find someone who considers my viewpoint in return. Many individuals can be quite selfish, and it can be challenging to discern their intentions. Story 10. People who believe that being biologically related to someone means they should automatically receive preferential treatment in all situations, regardless of their behavior or concern for others, are mistaken. Story 11. I sometimes struggle to understand why some people are obsessed with chasing trends, such as buying every new gadget or participating in viral fads. Story 12. People who prank their loved ones. I had a coworker who engaged in this with her husband. They were both very enthusiastic about it, and she frequently shared updates about the latest developments in their prank war. Much of it felt quite mean-spirited. We became friends on social media when I left that job. They are still married, and the prank war continues strong after 10 years. I'm not judging them or their relationship. I just don't understand it. Story 13. Someone at my college is openly anti-vaccine but studies biology. Thinking about that frustrates me. Story 14. I've never understood men who ruin a friendship with a woman by becoming creepy or by waiting for her to break up with someone, thinking they will have their chance next. If they focused on being a genuine friend instead of a false one, the reward could be a wonderful friendship. That's always been enough for me. I enjoy spending time with the women in my life. If I feel attraction, I keep it to myself. Why ruin a friendship? Story 15. People who abuse their partners are difficult to understand. I am a survivor of domestic violence and cannot comprehend the concept of treating someone like that. Story 16. People spend money they do not have on things they do not need to impress people they do not even like. Story 17. Child abusers. I will never understand how someone can look at their tiny, precious, beautiful baby and think, I am going to hurt this person. Becoming a mother made me see my parents and their beliefs about what is acceptable in a new light, especially my father. He abused me and seemed to find enjoyment in it. I will never comprehend that. Story 18. I have been living in the United States for a few years now, and I still feel no closer to understanding its people. It seems that many individuals react without a sense of internal consistency, believing that their feelings in any given moment are always justified. The idea of self-reflection and admitting fallibility appears to be viewed as inherently negative. Additionally, the rampant ignorance and defaultism I encounter seem completely contrary to the concept of a diverse community. Story 19. Bad drivers. I can understand many of the comments, even though I don't agree. It's difficult to be a good driver and to make wise decisions. Bad driving risks your own life just to arrive somewhere 5 seconds faster. I cannot comprehend what removes their inhibitions when operating heavy machinery. Being lazy in daily life is one thing, but being careless behind the wheel, when a single mistake could lead to death, reaches an entirely different level for me. Story 20. People who wake up every day and choose to be negative push away anyone who tries to help. Feels like talking to a brick wall. Story 21. Manipulators, abusers, and those who take pleasure in cruelty can be difficult for empathetic and emotionally aware individuals to understand. It is challenging to comprehend how someone can lie, cheat, or intentionally hurt others without feeling remorse. Story 22. Rude and hot-headed people. Why would you want to complicate your own life at every turn and push everyone away? Story 23. People for whom one characteristic seems to define their personality and life, with everything revolving around it. Story 24. Flat earthers primarily misunderstand physics, and they often use imperial units. Story 25. People who still use calling someone gay or referring to them as a girl as insults are frustrating. I see it in sports discussions all the time, and it is simply not funny. Story 26. Individuals who lack direction in their lives, but still take the time to criticize others. Story 27. People who complain about being broke yet spend all their money on alcohol or drugs are not truly broke. They simply have their priorities out of order. Story 28. People who like working do so not for a fulfilling career or something they are passionate about, but just for a job. I will never understand those who are workaholics and do not know what else to do with their lives besides spending their time to make someone else a profit. I look forward to retiring, as I can think of a million better ways to spend my time than going to work. Story 29. People who harbor hatred based on nationality often dislike millions of individuals they have never met or interacted with meaningfully. Such feelings can be considered a mental disorder. Story 30. People who say they need a vacation from vacation or imply that they would get bored without work likely do not have many hobbies or interests outside of work and probably do not engage in much when not working. If I were ever so dull and unimaginative that I considered going to work as entertainment, someone please intervene. Story 31. As a European, I really cannot understand Americans who voted for Trump, especially after he had been president before. You know from experience what you are getting yourself into the second time around. Story 32. Elon Musk enthusiasts. I understand appreciating him 10 years ago, but he has become one of the most unlikable individuals today. Story 33. Willfully ignorant individuals. We live in a world where the sum of human knowledge is at our fingertips. Many people still choose to remain willfully ignorant. Story 34. I married into a family whose members have no perseverance, not even a little bit. The smallest obstacle causes them to give up. I cannot understand why they do not even try or why they lack the will to succeed. Story 35. People who are angry and impatient often try to provoke others. To be fair, there may be some underlying mental instability. Story 36. When someone is a nice person and makes decisions purely for the benefit of others, I'm not saying they are wrong to think that. They are not. However, human emotions are not something I can easily understand. Story 37. Working in customer service involves assisting people who need help but can sometimes be obstructive and difficult, often to their own detriment. Story 38. People who cross the road without looking seem to think it is everyone else's responsibility to keep them safe. Story 39. People who always seem happy. Individuals with strong political beliefs. People who hold prejudiced views. Individuals who attend church regularly and observe religious holidays, but act unkindly in daily life. People who don't like animals. Corporate professionals. They appear unflappable, never seem to tire. Their outfits remain perfectly pressed, and they never voice complaints. I find it hard to relate to them. Story 40. All those people from viral videos who have meltdowns at a McDonald's or somewhere are throwing food, assaulting workers, and screaming. I'm not happy either if they forget the sauce, but I have never in my whole life thrown a tantrum like that. It seems to happen all the time. Story 41. People who pull out in front of a car that is already going the speed limit, causing it to slow down instead of waiting for traffic to pass. Individuals who refuse to use turn signals. Those who do not understand the purpose of different lanes, particularly when turning. Story 42. People who believe that breaking the law is a valid form of protest should reconsider their approach. Destroying a police car and vandalizing a business not only results in a permanent felony record, but also undermines the intended message. It is unlikely that such actions will change anyone's mind or garner political support. It is concerning how many people view violence and chaos as effective means of protest. Story 43. Obsessive sports fans. Here in the UK, it's football. People base their entire lives and personalities around it and the teams they support. It's just a game. Story 44. The hypocrisy and pure ignorance coming from him is truly outrageous. Story 45. Nearly everyone confuses me. I do not understand what drives people to act against others for personal gain or why they feel the need to constantly speak negatively about others, even when they know it will reach those individuals. Yet, they often lack the courage to say it directly to their faces. Story 46. The devoutly religious. I envy them for having conviction and having the harder questions of life seemingly answered for them. However, with all the challenges that happen in this world, how can people just blindly say it's all up to God in a positive light? Story 47. Conservative baby boomers and supporters of the Make America Great Again movement appear to dislike anything they do not understand. Story 48. People who rely on others to determine their beliefs, thoughts, and feelings are substituting their own judgment for someone else's. Story 49. People who criticize others for being different are troubling. I work with a woman named M who comments negatively whenever someone comes in who is slightly different from her idea of normal. Recently, a little girl, whom I believe has autism, came in, and M could not stop talking about the girl's stimming behaviors. I was nearly overwhelmed with anger because I have 2 nephews with autism, and I take such comments personally. Story 50. People who have formed their opinions on matters and refuse to discuss differences in opinion can be frustrating. I can respect that you have a certain viewpoint, even if I disagree, but please back it up for me. Explain your thought process and break it down so I can understand. Maybe I'll even agree. When people simply shut down and say, "It's just my opinion," without further explanation, it is disappointing. Have some conviction in your beliefs. The same goes for those who label others as fascist or racist based solely on political alignment. We should have actual conversations and try to understand why people think the way they do without being confrontational. The world would be a better place if we took the time to understand each other. Story 51. Artificial intelligence users. Chat generative pre-trained transformer often provides factually incorrect information. Stop using it for tests and focus on studying. It is also deeply wasteful, as its energy consumption is costly. Much of artificial intelligence is trained on unauthorized materials, whether it's a chatbot trained on fan fiction or a generative model trained on unauthorized artworks. This is all theft. And before anyone claims it's about accessibility, that really isn't the case. People create art using their feet or with dirt and rocks. Blind individuals create art. Deaf individuals make music. People with dyslexia have written books, as have those with limited educational backgrounds. Art is one of the most accessible forms of expression on the planet. Expression can take many forms. So yes, artificial intelligence users. I don't understand you. Story 52. I don't understand people at the base level who don't want the best for humanity. Why push others down when everyone can be happy? Story 53. People who complain about everything, even their version of a perfect life, would still find something to complain about. Story 54. People who gossip and speak negatively about others often live in misery or have deep personal insecurities. I have worked in many fields and have rarely encountered someone like this. Story 55. Hustle culture encourages individuals to prioritize their careers relentlessly. However, spending time on a conventional job can lead to less stress and a healthier interaction with others. Story 56. I do not understand any form of deliberate cruelty. It is much easier to be kind and enjoy life. Why indulge in harm for sport when there are individuals eager to consensually engage in pain-causing activities? If you want to hit people, learn to do it safely. Practice martial arts, learn to dominate, or engage in stage combat. Many people are willing to be hit and will allow it with proper safety precautions on your part. There is no need to involve those who do not wish to be hit. Story 57. People who never take the time to understand themselves and those who live in denial often change their voice depending on who they are speaking to, especially when they perceive someone as important. Essentially, anyone who behaves in a disingenuous manner lacks authenticity. Story 58. People who litter. People who try to enter a lift or public transport before others have exited. People who do not train their dogs or clean up after them. People who have children but only complain about them, especially in front of those children. People who talk loudly in the cinema. Story 59. People often confront you about things you never said. It's surprisingly more common on Reddit than anywhere else I've experienced online or in real life. For example, Person A, the sky is blue. I like the sky because I like blue. Person B, why do you hate grass? Is it because it's green? What do you have against the color green? This is a typical interaction on Reddit, and I don't understand why. It seems like people log in ready to argue, even when there is no argument to be had. Story 60. People whose alarm goes off once just turn it off and get up. I was surprised the first time I spent the night with my husband on a work night. His alarm went off that morning a full hour and a half before he had to leave, and he just got right up, turned it off, and went about his routine. My alarm is set 45 minutes before I have to leave because I hit snooze repeatedly. The average time between when I finally get up and when I leave is 25 minutes, which includes using the bathroom, brushing my teeth, and applying makeup. I lay out everything the night before. My husband hears it once and gets right up. So strange. Story 61. Those genuine posts on AITA and similar forums raise the question. Are you so emotionally incompetent that someone telling you you're wrong makes you doubt yourself? It's often trivial matters, like questioning whether it's your fault for getting hit in the face with a chair by your partner because the food wasn't done on time. I will never understand it, and this trend existed even before AI started generating scripts for fake posts. Story 62. People who have centered their entire personality and life around their political beliefs and constantly watching the news. Story 63. People who project an image of being a gangster, biker, or embodying some form of toughness often have families. It's time to mature. Story 64. People who live in the suburbs and are obsessed with the mundane activities of their neighbors are convinced they are about to be attacked. The hypervigilance and gossip are bizarre and mind-numbing to me. Additionally, the need to maintain a perfectly barren lawn is perplexing. Why buy land just to mow it into biological sterility? Story 65. People who are loud in public places. People who lack curiosity. People who lack self-awareness and humility. People who need to verbalize every thought in their minds. Story 66. Religious individuals who aim to convert others often misunderstand the diversity of beliefs. If you find happiness in your religion, that's great. But judging me based on your values while disregarding my opinions and beliefs because I do not share your faith is problematic. The issue lies with you, not me. Story 67. People who have nothing better to do than engage in small talk and gossip about every neighbor often create stories about them. However, if I'm completely honest, it can sometimes be amusing to hear the nonsense people make up about you. Story 68. Anyone who clings to a flawed belief, even when proven false, such as flat earthers or those who think we only use 10% of our brains, can be frustrating to engage with. One individual told me, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. I chose to stop arguing. It simply wasn't worth the headache. Story 69. Wealthy individuals with more than enough resources to live lavishly continue to seek additional wealth. Story 70. I wanted to express my feelings about child molesters, rapists, murderers, and abusers. Unfortunately, I now understand how their minds operate. They are the individuals I least want to comprehend. Story 71. People who do not understand that others can hold beliefs that are completely opposite to their own and think about them in the same way. Individuals who absorb all of the propaganda without giving it any thought. Wasteful individuals. Consumers. Spenders. Those who do not help the poor. Story 72. Sadists and bullies engage in deliberate nastiness to varying degrees. I understand being mean out of frustration or resentment. I recognize outbursts of anger, losing control while under the influence, and picking up negative habits from others. I even comprehend selfishness to the point of not caring who gets hurt. While I do not excuse such behavior, I grasp the underlying reasons. However, going out of your way solely to physically or emotionally harm someone is beyond comprehension. Why? Story 73. People who can never give credit where it is due to others and those who can never apologize when they make mistakes or hurt others often tend to be the same individuals, but this is not always the case. Story 74. Antagonistic people are those who try to criticize anything anyone says, even when it is inconsequential. Don't you ever get tired of being miserable all day? Story 75. Transphobes. A transgender person existing as themselves does not affect transphobes in any way. However, they are vehemently opposed and readily believe any falsehood that portrays transgender individuals in a negative light. Story 76. Unnecessary competitive individuals cannot sit still until they feel superior. I acquire a new item, and you suddenly want the same. I enroll in a class, and you express a desire to join as well. I mention experiencing bad menstrual cramps, and you divert the conversation to recount an incident from years ago when you passed out from cramps. Story 77. Neurotypicals. My autistic self is struggling when people are shocked by my failure to understand social cues that often seem nonsensical. For example, Jennifer, just say you want me to go to your tea party instead of speaking in circles and expecting me to magically grasp the implication. I am truly impressed by how neurotypical individuals can effortlessly navigate social rules and interactions. Story 78. Mississippian here. I will never understand how my community insists on voting against themselves every time. Story 79. Those who feel the need to speak loudly on the phone in public, especially during transit, drive me crazy. Story 80. People who torture animals raise serious ethical concerns. Even when it is necessary to kill an animal for food, defense, or population control, should it not be done as quickly and humanely as possible? Is there any reason to prolong its suffering? Story 81. I don't view many things through a racial lens. I suppose it's due to my privilege as a white person. However, I truly don't understand this particular situation regarding black individuals and Donald Trump. Story 82. People from the West often agree that they are a direct cause of global suffering for their own benefit, especially when it doesn't need to be that way. Instead of striving to learn and change, they use this situation as an excuse to continue benefiting. Story 83. People who enjoy exercising are hard for me to understand. They claim it makes them feel good afterward, but I only feel hot, out of breath, and uncomfortably sweaty. Story 84. Conservatives. I honestly do not understand why they think destroying society is better than investing in it. The idea of survival of the fittest leads to a return to primitive living. If we did not work together as a society, we would not have cities, technology, grocery stores, or anything that makes our lives easier and more comfortable. So why do conservatives want to remove all social constructs? Why do they believe that socialism is wrong? Why do they think everyone would be better off on their own? Why do they continuously dismantle social supports? I just do not understand. Do they really believe that large corporations are better at managing everything? Do they truly think the church is? What is the point of tearing everything apart instead of building things together that we can all benefit from? Story 85. Why would anyone be tempted to try smoking? To me, it's as unthinkable as eating feces. Do you just wake up and think, oh, how about I try eating feces today? Story 86. Far-right nationalists exhibit beer bellies, tattoos, football shirts, and bigotry. The men are even more extreme in their behavior. Story 87. People with avoidant attachment often face challenges in expressing their emotions. I wish I could better understand their perspective to offer them support. Story 88. As a neurodivergent person, I often feel like I understand people until they reveal something new, leaving me feeling lost once again. Story 89. People who are always in relationships and are very extroverted, as well as those who are truly happy, living life and passionate about various things, inspire me. I wish I could be like that. Story 90. Trump voters. I understood the Republican Party's stance before the Make America Great Again movement, but I cannot understand Trump supporters. They lack self-awareness and seem to exist solely on rage, hatred, and ignorance. Story 91. People who treat waiters like objects or are rude to junior personnel simply because they are younger and believe it is the norm should reconsider their behavior. No one should treat others poorly just because they feel they are in control of the situation. Story 92. People who deny or worse, defend the genocide in Gaza. The United Nations, Amnesty International, Oxfam, and Doctors Without Borders have made the evidence clear, yet some continue to say harmful things that perpetuate the violence. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.